I'm going to talk about protein and why it's important for anyone who's active, and especially if you're trying to lose fat. So first off, protein will keep you full for longer. So over the course of a day, if you're incorporating more protein, you're typically going to have fewer cravings and you're going to eat fewer calories over the course of the day. If you're going to eat a meal that's mostly carbohydrates, you might be satisfied for a short period of time, but then you'll likely be hungry within a few hours. Whereas if you're incorporating more protein into your meals, you'll typically be able to go a little bit longer before you feel those cravings again before you need to have your next meal. Second of all, protein is calorically expensive to process. So when you eat food, you're actually burning calories. Your body uses energy, it burns calories to break down that food and to digest it and to turn it into energy or to whatever it's going to do with it. Carbohydrates and fat, your body is pretty good at breaking those down into energy. Protein requires a little bit more input, so you actually burn more calories while digesting protein than you do the other macronutrients. Now, it's not going to be hundreds and hundreds of calories over the course of a day, but over the course of a long period of time, if you're eating a diet that's a little bit higher in protein than what you were previously, you're going to be burning more calories just by processing that food. Another advantage is balanced energy. So people that tend to eat really high carbohydrate diets, they tend to have more energy swings, kind of up and down throughout the day, where you get these spikes, and then you also get these crashes. And with the crashes, a lot of times your energy will drop, and oftentimes you'll have cravings with that too. Having more protein keeps you a little more stable with that energy level. And especially, this is really important in the morning or your first meal of the day, whenever that ends up being, having a good amount of protein then. That kind of sets the stage for the rest of the day. If you wake up in the morning and you eat, just toast, bagels, juice, and you're just having nothing but carbohydrates, it kind of sets you up for that roller coaster ride the rest of the day. Whereas if you have a little bit more protein and then usually some fat with it as well, it'll help stabilize things with your energy levels throughout the rest of the day. And then maybe the biggest benefit of having enough protein in your diet is just the muscle mass. So your muscle is made up of protein, made up of amino acids, and so you need protein to maintain the muscle mass that you have and to add muscle mass. And so if you were to lose weight, let's say you lost 10 pounds, and all you did was just eat less to lose those 10 pounds, you weren't exercising and you weren't having a lot of protein, you may be losing 8 pounds of muscle out of that 10 pounds. And so yes, you might be 10 pounds less on the scale, but now your metabolism is a lot lower because, as you probably know, muscle requires more calories just to maintain. So people with more muscle have a higher metabolism and burn more calories just throughout the day, when they're resting, when they're sleeping, even when they're not exercising. So if you lost those 10 pounds and you lost 8 pounds of muscle, now all of a sudden your metabolism drops a bit. And so now just to maintain that weight, you need fewer calories. And so somebody that loses a bunch of weight, that's great. But then they end up lowering their metabolism so much because they weren't aware of how to keep their muscle mass or how to improve their muscle mass. So they drop their metabolism so much that now they require so few calories to maintain that weight that it becomes almost impossible to maintain your weight or to lose any more weight, because it's just the necessary calories just get so low. And so what protein does, if you're trying to lose fat, protein will help you maintain the muscle mass that you have, which should then keep your metabolism running well at a healthy level. If you're adding some resistance training, and that's really the key, some strength training plus adequate protein when you're losing fat, and then you can either maintain or add muscle mass, which keeps your metabolism healthy, which keeps you burning more calories. Even though you're losing weight, that weight is coming more from fat and not from muscle. Therefore, when you get to a goal weight, or let's say you lose 10 pounds or you lose 20 pounds, you still have a good metabolism, so you're able to eat a decent amount and still be able to maintain that weight. So in conclusion, protein's probably the most important nutrient to focus on when you're losing fats. Now, I mean, everything is important, but protein is probably the biggest thing to adjust. And over time, I've noticed that that tends to be the nutrient, the macronutrient that most people are really low in. They think they're eating a lot of protein and they're not. As far as the amount of protein, typically around 0.6 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, probably somewhere between 100 and 150 grams. For For somebody who's strength training really consistently and has a lot of intense workouts, you're probably more towards that higher end. If you have a little bit lower intensity lifestyle, maybe you just do some walking or really light strength training, you might be more towards that 0.6. So if you're 150 pounds, more towards that 100 grams. So those are general recommendations. Obviously, every person's going to be a little bit different, but oftentimes if you start tracking how much protein you're eating based off of your body weight, you'll notice that you're pretty low. So something to do would be to start tracking, get an idea of where you're at, and if you feel like you're pretty low, start finding strategies to add a little bit more in.